Also, we can have one-on-one about that. We have Zoho experts over here. I think, yeah, Guru, you can see that. If you have any questions on finance, then you can get in touch with me.
Great. One last question from my side. A lot of the time you reference it's going to happen, it's in a roadmap. Payroll, for example, I know that on Wednesdays, Zoholics International was mentioned that instead of a low code, they're going to be launching no code, all cool, fun, funky stuff. I know that from a POS point of view, that it's in the pipeline, there's a roadmap. My question is, a lot of people are saying it's in a roadmap. Is there any visual roadmap where you can actually see from a month to month, instead of going into each of those applications and seeing what's new, versus actually seeing what is on the horizon for each and every of those applications that were mentioned before?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for bringing up this. So Vaishnavi is a team, the marketing team. So they're working on a newsletter specific to regions. So you'll be receiving a newsletter on the roadmap specific to South Africa. What are the things which you're going to do? So we are planning to do that every year. Every month. Okay. So you'll get that every month. So you can participate. All right. Thank you so much. Any questions we can have, take it offline. I'm just outside over here. You can catch me. Thank you so much once again and enjoy the show. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Brent. So up next, we've actually got a customer testimonial. One of our customers just giving a testimonial on the product. Heinrich Swanepoel from Payspace. We actually played a game of golf earlier this week, and I can tell you this guy can put a ball. Heinrich has over 70 years of business development and marketing experience stemming from his work with the JSE and FTSE 100 corporate businesses and building up startups from scratch. His enthusiasm for life is one of the main attributes and it infuses everything he does. He keeps on top of new technology to combine it with his interest in business development, marketing, and networking. In his free time, Heinrich enjoys MotoGP, UFC, and rugby.
Thanks, Jim. No, just a clicker. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Heinrich Swanepoel. I am a Zoholic. And I'm going to tell you a little bit today about sort of just a customer testimonial and what we've seen in the product. That's me. I'm heading up the sales team for a company called Payspace. So for the guy that asked my payroll question, we can integrate it with Zoho. So if you're looking for a payroll solution, you can scan that QR code on that app. You can actually go into my profile on the LinkedIn as well. Just a little bit about me. I think I've been quite fortunate to travel Africa quite extensively. I've seen close to 15 countries in Africa. It's not a lot considering there's like 54 countries across Africa. But yeah, in my life, I've seen sort of Africa going from manual ways to Excel to software to the cloud. So I've seen that transition and I've seen sort of that digital transformation that can take place. Just about Payspace, and I think sort of setting the tone about the mission of Payspace. So Payspace is dedicated to accelerate the transition to global cloud, payroll, and HR adoption. So we improve lives through technology. And for me, our founders actually in 2001 were doing coding on payroll applications. And as most of you know, legislation changes constantly. There's updates, medical aid tables, etc. that change. And they just thought to themselves, there should be a better way of doing this. You can't go and update something, run to somebody's laptop or computer or desktop or server, update it there, and go back and make sure it works. It constantly changes. So our founders actually conceptualized or architectured a software, as we call it today, our single instance multi-tenant platform. What in essence it means is there's only one version of Payspace running. So all our clients connect to the same version of the software, and that enables apps to actually sort of scale quite quick. And especially with legislation constantly changing, they don't need that burden of to make sure that they're on the latest version of the software, and we can always make sure that they're sort of on the right software when they need it, and they just need internet and a browser. So just on a little bit about us as a company, we're currently in over 41 countries in Africa. That is legislatively compliant. So again, all that statutory information is already embedded in the software. We've got that statutory reports embedded in the software. And then things like public holidays. So for instance, in South Africa, we have that voting day. We took care of that. So our clients knew if you worked on that day, you might be going to get double time, etc. So very, very strong on that. We are software as a service company, so you only pay for what you use. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about when we started looking around for software, specifically sort of a CRM product. We had 6 objectives, and being a technology platform that was born in the cloud was always important to us. So we needed a software to actually sort of be cloud-based first and foremost, and then communication. I think sort of communication in anything is extremely important. My wife always says, we Afrikaans, as you can hear, communicate of communicate. So it's literally, you need to communicate. So communication is key in anything. And so when we were looking, we said cloud, we need communication, and in any business, there's constantly sort of a structure that needs to follow. And if you don't follow that structure, you're never going to be more agile and go quicker. So we needed something structured, and Ali, thanks for that sort of security. I don't know about all that extra security, but security for us has always been critical. Payroll and HR are so close to people's hearts, and from a security point of view, we always needed to make sure that the information is kept secure. Then integration automation. I know we're doing a lot of integration into Zoho. We're also one of that 43% IT companies using the software, but for us, integration automation was key. Then going on to that, I think sort of we've been quite fortunate in the last 2 years to grow, especially in this pandemic. But we needed a software where we can actually expand it. I was quite disgusted to see that the average company is using up to 18 apps. We only use about 10 or 11 apps. But I think it's also the capacity inside the organization to see how much you can actually use inside the system. So this was our wish list and what we started off with. And I've identified sort of the 10 apps that we work quite closely with inside our organization. Now, I don't work with everything, but I do sort of touch on most of them. So typically, I think sort of compliance is critical, and the previous speaker mentioned that, but for us, we've got like a book review, and marketing is where everything starts. So this campaign has really helped us sort of gain that top of the funnel with our clients and sort of gaining that information from our clients. Then we use an app called Forms, where we've embedded forms onto our website. I think that just from efforts through Google AdWords or through social media, if we collect that information of that form into our CRM application, it goes to what we call a marketing qualified lead, then it goes to a sales desk, then it becomes a sales qualified lead, and in there, the salesperson can then go and see all the notes, use the contact person. We typically ask the salespeople, please, in any deal, you need to have multi-threaded, so there needs to be 2 or 3 or 4 contacts already loaded on that application. But from there, we then say, oh, perfect. When we sit with a client and we understand his needs and gives us their problem and we see it's a win-win solution, then we can actually send out a proposal. And I think South Africa is very old school still compared to the rest of the world. And Zoho Sign actually made a huge difference in our lives. Everybody working remotely, sending out quotes, and there needed to be different signatories inside that orders. So that really helped us get orders from our clients. Because they were sitting remotely, they needed a new way of signing actually their proposals. As well as we've got master service agreements, NDAs, etc. So that really sort of closed the loop for me on the sales process, from actually sending it through a marketing qualified lead, sales qualified lead, an opportunity sale, and then signing it off. Then all our implementation. So we've got clients with 1 employee, we've got clients with 60,000 employees. So every single implementation, it's a time and material implementation, it's a project implementation, we use Zoho projects. actually do budgeting on that, do forecasting on that. So that each and every consultant needs to put in their time and actually, so we can do planning and see where our resource planning is. That is sort of the sales things, and I think sort of that's ones that I work quite closely with. Then as an organization, I think sort of our key performance indicators for the year has been profitability and then customer service. So Zara survey for us has been also critical in measuring each and every department, from sales, marketing, implementation, and training. All those have been measured and quite constantly measured. So we do once a year NPS survey as well, and we've seen sort of an improvement on it. It's actually made it quite easy to link it back to the client and see where we can better their expectations. Then moving on to Zara-Desk, I think this is probably one of the apps that in CRM that we use the most. Being in payroll, there's certain sort of hectic periods, tax year ends, etc. But the desk functionality, our clients can either log a ticket with us in product, send us an email, communicate with us, or give us a call. And each of those respondents, when we touch those clients, we actually log a ticket inside Zara-Desk. That not only helps us to communicate with the clients, so we've got a response time within 24 hours with our business partners and with our clients, but it can also advise on the bigger clients where we can actually send their personnel and training. So Zara-Desk forms a very big part of our organization. Then Flow, being a tech company, I think sort of our developers use quite a range of different softwares. Our software also being our own software, we needed integration, and we use Zara Flow quite extensively between different systems to integrate. Then Sales IQ, I'm very happy. We actually launched our chatbot. So if you go onto our website, you'll see a little basic pop up there. This will be a name, but Payspace is actually for us when we're not on our website. When I'm sitting at the conference, so it will actually communicate leads back into the business, back into CRM, as well as communicate if the client actually needed support. So that helps us quite a lot. And then analytics, I think sort of being fortunate in the management role, I'm constantly looking, when did a marketing qualified lead come in? How long did it take to close it? How can we shorten that period? So I'm quite often sort of changing, I want to say, sort of the analytics around to see exactly what I need to actually improve our sales, what I need to actually improve our experience. These were the 10 apps that we, I want to say, sort of enforce inside the business. And it's actually filled a massive void for us. Then just how we've won, I think, sort of based on the applications and our needs that we had initially, we've improved our customer journey. And I actually want to put up some figures, but our NPS has actually increased once we've started putting that information into Zara One and letting everybody in the business actually have access to that information. That better internal process and automation. I've been with Payspace for about 2 years now, and when I started, none of these processes were in place, and we've doubled in size in the last 2 years as well. So we needed an internal process to actually onboard internal customers or employees quite quick. This has helped us extremely, sort of getting that internal process on board, as well as a lot of the automation that's needed for that. Then record keeping. Feels like I'm bringing up my wife a lot, but sort of having history and just sort of having history on a client is important, because I can never remember what happened yesterday. So going back and sort of when that client engaged with your company, to see maybe what was the pain, what was the issues that we've resolved, where did they come from, what was the previous software, what are the integrations. So just having a solid golden record within the system where we can refer back to. Then anywhere, anytime access, I think sort of on my mobile, I've got those 2 apps. I think constantly sort of adding new contacts, communicating on, making little notes, putting up activities, seeing a quick dashboard, seeing a quick forecast. That's quite important. So having that access on any device is critical. And then that ability to grow. I think sort of on Ali's slide, he mentioned 50 apps. So for us, it's sort of expanding into that app range. So I'm very excited about what Zara has offered us. We've gained a lot of sort of inspiration out of our company just on what Zara is doing and what we can also do. So I see I still have a lot of like 7 minutes left. So thank you so much. I'm willing to take some questions if you want to ask me anything about Payspace, or I've got some of the Zara professionals here as well. If I can't answer any of your questions. Yes.
Just a question with regard to your website configuration. Do you use WordPress as your backbone for your website, or what?
I think we use WordPress.
Any other questions?
What would be your sort of top tips on getting your team to use the systems properly? Because you can build the greatest thing in the world, and you've got a wide range of types of employees who need to use it. So getting them on board, what makes it amazing.
So I'm going to take my scenario. I have 2 individuals, so salespeople are lazy. They tend to not load any comments and things onto a platform, specifically CRM. And then the other one was my sales desk lady, where she started using an Outlook as a CRM tool, sending herself an email. And it was quite scary when I realized it.
So it was quite scary when I realized it, because for the first time I couldn't track sort of when I actually picked it up using analytics.
So when a marketing qualified lead comes in, I can see the amount of communication that the clients actually receive. So how long it took from MQL to SQL. And then I started investigating and realized she was using an Outlook as that example. And I had one of her KPIs, because I think it's so critical. If she gets hit by a bus, what are we going to do to actually have that information? So I said to her, this is mission critical, and I sort of enforced it. But after about 3 months, she started seeing the value out of it.
Zia, I didn't put it up, but Zia
Zia is actually phenomenal, guys.
She could
see some of the marketing qualified leads that she's actually engaged with, to re-engage with. So things like that started making a bit more sense to her, and she started using the automation emails out of the different stages in CRM. So when she saw that, and actually the value it brought to her to walk into the office and know what to do, that added a lot of value. For the sales, in any sales position, sort of I've learned is just the easier you can make, the better it works for them. So I think what was quite cool for me in the functionality in Zara is we're constantly playing around and seeing what works best, but we saw that when you're communicating with a client, we don't have the call function on, so we can't call out of the product. But if you call and you just start typing, you can actually track that inside that. So it's so easy then setting up an actual activity. So I showed him that, and then he said that with this is a lot easier, because I don't have to complete 7 forms. I can just hit call once and then track my notes on there. So yeah, I think sort of it's more sort of playing around and seeing what the changes. Sometimes you need to enforce it for them to actually see the benefit. But yeah, it is probably adoption is key. Any other questions?
You probably answered some of the questions in that last one, but I'm concerned about your customer experience side of things. Which apps or bundles would you recommend maybe for enhancing your customer experience? Or do you have a success story, and how did you measure the success of your customer experience journey?
Oh, that's a very good question. I think sort of in my previous life, I worked for services-oriented companies. Services was always critical. We didn't have the best product. And coming to Payspace, the company itself has been a software company. And we had a bit of a change in management and a new leader called Sandra Kraus. And for us, sort of experience was anything. So we took a full week and actually designed the customer experience. What would be the touch points a customer would go through within the business. And like anything, on paper it always looks great, but then implementing is the it's a little bit of a hurdle. So then we just said, all right, perfect. So what are those touch points? And then we identified those touch points. Based on those touch points, we then said, all right, perfect. We need to measure each and every one. And that's, I would say, biannually sort of an NPS score is quite a good review, just to see if they would recommend your software, if they enjoy your software. But I think we went to a 1 to 3. So every third client we actually measured and see if there's a response. So it's just constantly seeing what was the experience and what was the measure. Because in our business, they actually go through quite a big process to go live, support, and then post-action. And I think a lot of people, we've realized that although we've been fortunate in this year where we've grown, retaining clients, and I think that was quite a nice stat. Ali also showed about 2.9% sort of the retention, but it's also retaining clients. I think in these days and age, clients aren't making decisions quite quick, so retaining and just improving that existing customer experience is also critical.
A minute and 20 left. Yes, sir.
This with Zoho Books, and what sort of functionality does it provide?
So we haven't done Zoho Books yet. We investigated at the moment. What we've done is we've looked at our platform because Payspace itself is a completely different beast. And Zoho CRM, where it all originates, is a different one. So I think there's quite a strong API on Zoho. I'm not very technical, but we've got quite a big API as well, so that they've got what they call webhooks in Flow. So as soon as something gets initiated inside CRM, we actually go and fetch that inside Payspace and see if there's been changes in company details or master details. But I think for us, it's been sort of looking at the API, what are the fields available, specifically in the applications that we use. It's similar to the program we've got, but yeah, matching those two.
Is that in your business?
Yes.
So the integration I'm referring to is the integration with Zoho Books.
So we don't use Zoho Books.
You don't use Zoho
No.
Books. Okay, and so would you be offering that integration for Zoho Books clients, the Payspace integration?
From a GL perspective, so from a general ledger, I think there isn't a books application that we haven't been able to actually send out a GL from. So I haven't come across a lot of Zoho Books clients as yet, but I think it won't be too difficult. We've integrated with a multitude of programs, and I think it would be quite easy. I saw actually one of our partners here, but we can actually just chat about it, but I think yes, it's definitely possible. It wouldn't be difficult. Thank you. Excellent.
We'd like to go integration with Payspace school books.
Okay.
Do you think Payspace will become available on Zoho Flow as an application? Connector?
We've thought about it. It's sort of, we need to sell more there. So I can go and convince the CTOs, etc., to actually just put it on.
Any last questions? That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate it.